What's up, everybody? Welcome to my new YouTube channel. This channel is going to be basically dedicated to my music and how I create it and pretty much what it takes to write a song and the process and all that stuff. I'm not going to be going too much into detail as far as how to mix or how to write songs or anything like that. This is, like I said, this is more my process than anything. When it comes to mixing and mastering and writing music, there is no canon. There is no set way. Of course, some ideas are better than others, so I expect a lot of people to give me their opinion and their input as to how I could have done something better. But either way, this, like I said, this whole entire channel is going to be dedicated to, I guess, my music and what I did to it, if that makes any sense. All right, so this song right here, it's gonna be on my new album. I started writing it a few months ago, but I didn't have anything for it till now, and as you can tell, it's pretty much finished. But as with most of my songs, there's always something I want to add to it. Unfortunately, that usually happens after I've already posted the song on an album, so that can kind of suck. We'll start off with the first part of the song. I don't know why I don't know why I picked this intro, but it just seemed kind of cool. I actually started off with this little that's really all it is. It's like a countdown, if you will. I was just messing around with a plugin that I had, and I was just going through the piano keys, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. And then I just ended up recording it. That's why they're not like perfectly in sync. But then you have this track right here, just like an ambient sound. Then you have this guy right here. So all together. Now, one thing I didn't want to do is I didn't want this to trail into the beginning of the song, so it just stops abruptly, which I think is kind of cool. And you don't hear the rest of it because I have it soloed. But anyway, so the song cuts in right here. And we'll stop that. And we'll start with the drums, actually. So you get the idea. So you go back down here, and now here is like the main guitar right here. Go ahead and solo that. Now, what's interesting about this is I actually had this, I wrote this song down tuned to a different setting. And I remember I decided to restring my 8-string and have a different tuning on it. And I wanted to play the original sound the same way, but it wasn't working. My hands couldn't get there. So I decided to, instead of messing with the tuning on the guitar, I decided to play the same pattern with my fingers. And I came up with this, and it sounded like really odd at first, but it ended up working. But as always, I like to add layers to my sound, especially with my guitars. So when I start singing down here, and you'll hear that in a minute, but when I start singing, you're gonna hear this other guitar kick in right here. Now, I wanted to go ahead further with that little ping that you hear, and I wanted that to stand out and also delay. I'm going to go ahead and just solo that so you can hear kind of what I did. What I also did is I added a delay, and you can see it right here. And I panned the delay when I created the submix, or I'm sorry, the effects track. I decided to pan the delay to the left, so when this ping comes in, it's to the right. It matches the original track, but it delays to the left. So if you listen to just the ping, you'll hear what I'm talking about. And I have it set up too with the delay where it's a little bit louder when it comes back in because with two of these pings combined for this track and this track, I didn't want it to be too loud. So I lowered it here, but I raised it with the delay. So it basically pings, and when the first delay hits, it's louder than the original audio. Um, Now, most people, when they put a delay on, like let's say this is the original track, this is supposed to hit harder than the delay. But again, I decided to, make it louder for obvious reasons. So here you go with just that part. And now all together. Most people that listen to my music know I kind of repeat myself a lot, but I like repetition in music. Um, Not to the point where it's like club dancing music, but I do like it when it repeats. It kind of, for me, like with music that repeats itself a lot, it kind of like, the only way I can explain it is it digs itself in the trenches. It's like it solidifies the I guess the emotion that you're trying to portray for me. And this doesn't mean that I think it's people that don't repeat themselves suck or anything like that. No, not at all. In fact, they're a lot more talented than I am. But again, the more something repeats, the more it sinks in for me. And so I've just a lot of bands I listen to have done that, and so I just kind of borrowed from that. Here's the bass line right here. I'm gonna go ahead and solo it so you can hear it by itself. Now, I want to explain one thing. A lot of times, I use a lot of saturation in my music. Saturation, it's not necessarily distortion, but a saturation allows your audio or a particular audio track to be louder than, or to be perceived louder than it really is. Another thing saturation and or distortion can do is it can actually tighten up your mix and clarify it. It sounds strange because it is distortion, but with almost all of my bass, because my mixes are very messy. There's a lot going on, and when I add distortion, it seems to kind of clear up the bass, but it also glues everything together, especially with guitar tracks. So if you listen to this, it sounds kind of bassy and farty. But if you listen to it within the mix, actually, let me go ahead and mute the vocals real quick. I'll play them for you guys, but not yet. Here we go again. So you get the idea. Further on down the line, I have this distortion plugin. It's not directly on the bass track. It's basically an aux send. I have it feed into the bass track, and again, with aux sends, you basically use them to feed into the dry signal. Because if you put like a reverb, another thing I forgot to explain, when you put a reverb or anything directly on a track, it can tend to you can kind of tend to overdo it. Whereas if you use an aux send, you can control how much goes into the dry signal, so you can still retain the dry signal, if that makes any sense. So, like for example, if I were to put the distortion on the bass track, I lose a lot of the bass. But by like sneaking it into the bass track, and allowing myself to have, see, I only have a little bit of distortion feeding in, and let me just show you what that sounds like. Like right here. I automated this so the distortion is bypassed throughout the song except for in the chorus, right? And when it does kick in, it's only a little bit, but you're gonna hear what this sounds like, and it's gonna sound like shit by itself. But when you hear the chorus, you'll get it because the chorus is very distorted. And here, check this out. So you can hear that. You also heard a little bit of my vocals right there. But yeah, so you're gonna hear when that kicks in. So the last thing I want to show you is during the verse. I have a lead track, and I also have a lead track that plays during the chorus. Let me go ahead and solo the lead so you guys can hear it. Now with the verse. So that's basically what you have for the verse. Now going into, there's like a little pre-chorus and then there's a chorus. So this is what it kind of sounds like right here. I'm gonna play the whole thing. And so basically how that's broken down, there's really not much to this either. I'm gonna go ahead and just solo the heavy guitars when they come in. When I record guitars, I record a very dry, slightly distorted guitar for my left and right channels because I like to pan my guitars left and right. But I also have another guitar track that's a stereo track, and I never used to do this, but I use an 11 rack, and there is a setting that I have that basically thickens up the mix. So by itself, like if I played the left track, and on the right hand side, you are gonna hear. And together. And you're gonna notice I don't do this all the time because a lot of times when I record the left and the right guitar, I record them separately, and then when you pan them, you get this nice stereo effect. And that's what I did, but I also added a delay. When you add a slap delay onto a track, especially if you haven't double tracked your music, you can get a nice stereo image with your sound, as long as you don't go over like, let's say 30 milliseconds. Once you go past, I don't go more than 29, depending on how wide I want to make the signal. But you go past that, it's gonna be more noticeable, and it's not gonna be as pretty as you want it to sound. I'm not sure why I added it here, but it sounded good, so I'm gonna leave it. But the last guitar is this. It's also a different tone. It's a different amp model that I'm using. And then all together, it sounds like this. And I'm gonna let it play all the way through to where it rings out. Actually, it'd be helpful if I actually soloed those two. And if you look right here, you can see I have two choruses. You can tell that I've already worked on this one a little bit. I didn't over here. basically the little hook that you hear, I wanted to take that out to kind of make it blend in more. So I just haven't done that on this side yet. But hey, um, mixes are never done, right? But if you listen to that, actually, before I go into that, let me play you one more thing. This is the lead guitar that plays in the background. Again, I like to layer, so. So when you play that with everything, including the drums, you have this. You can hear how the bass is tightened up a little bit, or blends in. Now, I didn't want to go crazy with the song, so it doesn't really do a lot in by way of soloing or anything like that. It just does an intro, a verse, chorus, and I had it end in a unique way. I basically made all the audio tracks elastic audio, which allowed me to adjust my tempo. You can see up here, I've adjusted it to go from my tempo of, I think it was 142, all the way down to 50, and I got this effect. It basically starts the verse all over again. Figured it's something I have never done before, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead with it. And here are the vocals. I am not the best singer in the world by a long shot, but I really don't have a lot of offers for people to sing for me, so I just go ahead and do it anyway. So yeah, I'm calling myself out before any of you amazing YouTube trolls get a chance to. So here it is. Here's where I come in with my vocals. Actually, let me unmute that. I am the faceless. I'm the one who stands behind the lines. I am the faithless in a hollow world that will divide. Of soft decay, I form a smile in my own way. Shifty eyes become my past. I knew you all would never last. This is what you wanted. This is what you needed. This is what you wanted. Is this what you needed? Or is this just a reason? Yeah, that's pretty much this entire song. Again, there's not much not much to it. It was pretty easy to write. It was kind of hard to come up with lyrics, but um, that yeah, that's it. This is the first video of this channel, and hopefully I become a lot better at speaking. So thanks for watching this video, and if you're a fan of my music and you have any songs that you want me to break down to go through, if you're curious about how I made them, or what's involved, or what's that sound, or anything like that, just let me know, and I'll probably get around to it. And yeah, and again, thanks for watching.